some things you only get one chance in life, And if anything, I'm grateful for this because when I first started understanding what an endorsement was, I got the heaviest wisdom ever. They were just like, look, play exactly what you like to play. Don't play what people will give you. Don't play what's free. Play exactly what you love to play because in the end, that's going to be the only thing that really keeps you there. Because at the end of the day, it's a business. And I was like, I didn't really understand that. But over time, it started to make sense. I was just like, yeah, well, why would I play this? Although it's good, but that's not what I want to play. And it just became this thing, like, I like this. This is my sound. This is what I want to play. So my thing is, us as drummers, we are artists. Even though we work for artists, you need to know the difference. But play exactly what you want to play, man. Play what makes you, when you sit down, you're inspired. If you hit a cymbal and the way you hit it, any kind of way, and you're inspired to be a better you, then play that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if the drum sounds a certain way, if you swapped out the heads 10 different times, whatever the one that motivated you to want, you're going to go back to, that's the company you need to stick with.
Today, our guest is Meinl Cymbals artist Chris Coleman. Chris is widely regarded as one of the best drummers walking the planet today. The guy literally inspires awe in everyone who sees him play. His drumming's like a car that takes a turn so quickly that it goes up onto its side onto two wheels, but never, ever goes over the edge. Chris is always in control the entire time. His ability to take his drumming on rails is based off of the same foundation that enables him to easily morph into any gig he takes. And that's a solid education in and respect for his craft. Chris was a serious student of drumming, and he still is. He's played with Israel Houghton and the New Breed, Larry Carlton, Stanley Clarke, Stevie Wonder, New Kids on the Block, Sheila E., Shaka Khan, and many others. And now, he's been on a world tour with Beck. He plays such a wide variety of gigs because he has the talent, of course, but just as importantly, because he has the right attitude. Chris believes in making everyone around him feel good, and that's a main reason why he gets the gigs. He can play, but he can also hang, and that's one of the main ingredients to his success. Chris has been a Meinl artist for many years now, and when we say Meinl family, he's one of the first people I think of. Anyone who makes it all the way through this podcast, who has an inkling that they may be of value to a company in the drumming industry one day, listen up to the section where Chris goes into detail on how he thinks about things when it comes to endorsements, because his insight is invaluable. I was able to sit down with Chris at the Meinl USA office in Nashville after a Beck gig at the Ascend Amphitheater. Chris got off the stage about 11 o'clock, dried off with a towel, got something quick to eat, and met me in my car in the street where we sped over to the office and conducted this podcast. We were both pretty tired. It was a Sunday night. He was ready to fly out the next morning. I was ready to get home and get some sleep for work the next day. But we were glad to see each other. Like I said, he's been a Meinl Cymbals artist for a long time. And he's an old and dear friend. There's a lot of laughter in this podcast. Just a word of warning. What time is it?
It's 12:02 a.m.
All right, it's 12:02 a.m. Monday morning, technically. It was Sunday night. We are here at Meinl USA in Nashville, Tennessee, with one of the best dudes in the world, Chris Coleman, who's agreed after his show with Beck at the Ascend Amphitheater to come over here to Meinl HQ in the USA and do a podcast interview after his show with Beck.
Yes.
Dude,
sweaty and all.
He has not showered.
I have not showered yet.
He ate a little bit.
A piece of salmon. Blackened, actually.
Don't get racial on me. Come on, man.
For sure.
It's always that way with you. Can't take you anywhere.
You know me, man.
You're bringing it into food now.
You know me.
Salmon's pink, by the way.
Yes.
Okay. Got a problem with that?
A little bit, but we'll talk about that later.
Oh boy. This is going to be tough.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're going to get straight into it with Chris. We're going to give him some questions. We're going to lob a few at him. They're going to throw him for a loop. Well, maybe not, because when I just came back from getting him a water, he was reading all the questions. He didn't want to be surprised.
You know, they always tell you to be prepared for the gig.
Even if that means cheating.
Right. It's cheater.
So, you were just on your gig with Beck.
Yes.
You just got done. How do you feel after playing your show?
I'm tired.
Are you?
Yeah, this is the last run of about maybe 10 shows.
10 shows.
Yeah.
So let's start with the question that everyone wants a solid answer to. How did you get to be so good?
Let's see. I'm 38 now. Playing since I was 2 years old. 36 years. How did I do it? Man, it's so hard to answer this because I'm such a 100 guy. Whatever I do, I put a 100% into it. So I definitely practiced. I definitely sought to just be better. It wasn't something that I was trying to be better for or someone better than. It was just, I just love to push myself.
So like a sense of personal excellence.
Yes.
Would that have come from mom and dad?
Yes. Mom, dad, grandparents, atmosphere, family. My grandfather is a pastor, raised 10 kids, put them all 10 through college, and worked full time for General Motors.
Wow.
22 grandchildren. So his work ethic is definitely a part of my DNA, So I think that has a lot to do with it, and experience.
Was this your mom's dad or your dad's dad?
Dad's dad.
Okay.
But my mom's side is equally as diligent. My grandfather was a chef in the Army. He raised 6 kids while he was farming, and they were the generation right after the slave, being enslaved. So there was still a little that coming up in Memphis, that Memphis, Tennessee area. So he had to figure out how to work around it, all that tension of letting it finally go, that type of thing. Mm-hmm. And I remember stories. He started his own business with the lawn and, raising other cattle for people, taking some of the profits, just this guy would own, 10 cows and he'd care for them, that type of thing. And he'd get a piece of that. So he had an equal, diligence about him. So.
Wow. So literally just environment, just like your family environment is what got you to the point where you are now.
I think so. I think I would have to say a strong 75%.
So let's say there's somebody he's a good egg, good person, or she, good egg. Maybe he's learned what not to do from their parents. Maybe that this person didn't win the lottery like you did with mom and dad. Okay. But they know, like, I want to be great at what I do. Right. And so they're listening to this going, well, that doesn't help me because my parents sucked. So what can I do to be awesome?
Well, I'll tell you this. That's only one side of it for me. It only went so far. There were... I would probably say that what helped me become where I am today is the experiences I had to go through. And it was the mud. It was the mud within hell. I don't have time for the whole podcast to get into every single, trust me, I could hit you with some stuff that had nothing to do with my parents. Like, I'm well outside of home and outside of the environment, that most people probably would have cracked, but it was kind of like either you man up or get out, or get off, that type of thing. So, yeah, I have a bunch of those. So I look at it, for me personally, I look at it as a balance. So I'm saying to that person, which probably that's where they are. It's more about experience than it was them coming up out of an environment, that type of thing, that anything is possible. You just have to want to do it. Yeah. You just have to want to win.
What you said reminds me of something I've been told a lot. Not like I've been told, but I've heard it a lot over the last few years. Like, when you die, you're not going to be remembered by what you dealt with. You're going to be remembered by how you dealt with it. Yep. So maybe that's what these folks need to know.
Honestly, if you focus on that, I feel like you'll see it. You'll finally see it. And people say, well, what is the it? The it is whatever it is. every situation is different. Every scenario is different. But if you're focusing on, I want to be remembered for handling this the best way I could, or the most positive way I could. I mean, it's never going to be perfect. What in life is perfect? You know what I'm saying? So let's just toss that concept out the window for good.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Let's just be real. It's like, just deal with stuff. Just deal with it and try to make the best decisions you can in any and everything. Not just signing a contract, but it's just like, maybe you don't need to respond to this dude in a hostile situation on stage. How you handle this could be, the outcome of your job when you get off this drum throw, this night, that type of thing. It's make a winning choice.
Every time. That's another thing I've heard recently is somebody was telling me that the reason they're successful at this or that wasn't because they made one grand choice about this at this one moment. It was more like it was a small accrual of all these little 1% choices along the way, and it ended up adding up to this big thing.
Right.
So
it's kind of like school. You got to go through all 12 scenarios.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To get the final, and you can't. I mean, you can skip it, but you still got to earn it if you skip it.
Right.
It's one of those things where, oh, you're advanced, I can skip 2 grades. Okay, you still earned it because you had to test out. You know what I'm saying? So
applying this to, like, when you actually sit down at the drum kit and you pick up your drum book and you start working, or you're going to a teacher, or say you're going to MI and you've got a group of teachers, or whatever, don't shortcut yourself.
Nope.
Put in all the hard work.
Yep.
Leave the fun part for the very end of practice.
Man, you say this. Kim Playfield, God rest his soul, he's just recently passed away.
He was one of your instructors at the Collective.
Yes.
Okay.
One of my main guys, him and Michael Lauren. I'm not singling anybody out. I love all my teachers here. Fred Klatz, Pete Resliff, the list goes on. Vince Jericho, I can, start naming all of them. But there was 22 of us in class. I was one of 2 blacks of 10 Americans, okay, and 12 European, Asian, all global, right? We'll just say global. Now, we're in class, and one week it's jazz, next week it's rock, the next week is Afro-Cuban. After that, it's, whatever genre, we're going to get hit with this in this certificate program. And my teachers found out right away that my strongest point was my ears. So their goal was to work on my weakest point, which was my sight reading. And, going into school, I could play. It was one of those things I could play. I think people were looking for me to be the asshole, because you could play, that type of thing. But I was just like, dude, I came to learn. Like, I understand that there's something that I don't have, so I'm here to learn. And I just like the challenge anyways. I just like the environment of growing and learning. So we have to play with the bass player, keyboard player, and he would instruct us, on whatever particular style. He'd make everybody go first, and they got the easy lead sheet, with the repeats, the codas, and all the dynamic markings and all of this type of thing, right? And I'm just like, 22 times of hearing it, I can go play this thing in my sleep. For me, I mean, that's the way I was born and raised, playing in church. We had to remember songs up to wazoo every week, that type of thing. So he gets to me, he's laughing at me because I'm back there rocking my head. I'm looking, and he knows I'm zoning in, right? I'm listening to all the corrections that he's giving every other student. So by the time I get to this, I should play it like perfect, right? He goes, yeah, I got something for you. Like with 3 guys left, right? I'm going, what? He said, oh yeah, I got something specifically for you. And he looks at the bass teacher, and he looks at the piano teacher, and they all start laughing. I'm like, what the fudge is this, right? So we go on to the last 3 guys. So, all right, Coleman, you're up. So all the students are like, oh yeah, man, kick butt, Coleman, kick it, He goes, yeah, we're going to do this. And it's a completely different song.
Ugh.
Not only is it a different song, I don't get a lead sheet. I get 10 pages. He paid somebody to write it out in time, the way it's supposed to be, according to, 2 repeats, or, go to the coda, cut this, or skip the A part, go to the B. Normally you look at a 2-page chart and it tells you all of that, right? This is just 10 pages of time. He's like, if you don't read, you're lost. Dude, I was up there struggling because I'd never even heard the song, first of all. So I'm like sight reading through figures of a song that I don't know, and I got to figure. It was just like, he threw me in the fire. He did that every week.
So how does this relate to the small cruels, the 1%?
No matter where you are, embrace it. Here it is. You think, oh, I don't have it easy. This guy's got this, or, he had this. You were able to get this. I didn't get that. I didn't have this. I hear it all the time. You don't know what that other guy went through. Mm-hmm. Where I come from, there's a verse in the Bible that says, to each his own measure of faith. Meaning, behind every story, every glory, there's a story. Believe it, Just don't get caught up in people's glory, man. Everybody's got a story. Everybody's got a story.
So you're now playing with Beck.
Mm-hmm.
My first question about that gig is, why was it that no one knew you were playing with Beck? It was a big gig to get on, but it was kind of a surprise to many. Not like you couldn't do it, but more like, what? Coleman's with Beck? I mean, dude, I literally think I was on the phone with Sput talking to him, and he's going, what? He's playing with Beck? When did that happen? It was super low key. I mean, and that's cool, but like, why was it so low key?
I received an email, hey, you've been selected. Your name came up amongst a list of drummers, and we want to know if you'd like to come audition for Beck. And I was like, heck yeah, why not? I was just, timing was perfect in my life. I've been doing a lot of the drum side of things, the drum world, and I was just looking for something to different. I was just like, man, I need to will something into my life, something that I have never done, that I got to just go back and sharpen all my tools. I just have to, switch the mindset around a fresh approach to this, whatever it's gonna be, and that just happened to fall in my lap, So I learned the music, went out and did the audition, and I got the call back. So,
and you kept it, I guess, pretty quiet. Like, instead of being on social media yapping your gums all the time, you're pretty much working all the time.
Right. Like we've been working a lot in this last year, bro.
Right.
A lot. Yeah.
So you've been working, and that's probably why it's been low key. It's just because you don't have time for all the look at me. Just you've had your head down, focusing on your job.
Yeah, I think in general I'm just not that personality, and I'm not slamming anybody in particular. It's just I'm focused, I guess. I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm working. Yeah. And I feel like it'll come naturally. I try my hardest not to promote myself.
Right.
I'd rather let it speak for itself. Then I could just always smile and go, it is what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Whatever, because everybody's going to get something different from it. So for me to try to say, this is it, and I feel like you just open up the floodgates for people to go, that's not what I see. Right. So I've always been the type of person, just put it out there. Let them feast.
No, I get it. I'm paranoid that I would jinx it. By saying it, by making the announcement, I'm with Beck now. Suddenly Beck's like, all right, Coleman, you're fired.
Yeah. Well, that's a reality. I don't know if I was thinking along those lines. I guess.
No, I'm just saying that's me. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm like the superstitious fool that I would think about it that way.
Yeah, I've had that happen. I've come close to that where I felt like maybe I jumped the gun, maybe a couple days early, and I'm just thankful I didn't go like 100 miles an hour with it, and it didn't quite turn out like you would expect it to in a normal situation or normal. And I was just like, oh God, like I'm just grateful that I wasn't like selling it, because the fact that it didn't happen the way it should have happened. In the end, you're just kind of like, ooh, So I learned the lesson then, just let it be, man.
So on the surface, it seems an odd pairing. You playing with Beck.
Mm-hmm.
tell everybody how it works.
Wow.
And I mean like how your vibe fits his vibe.
First of all, I have to give a shout out to Joey, his former drummer. Joey's been with him for 20 years, you know. So not only did they create a sound, they created a flow. Now, creating a sound is one thing, but when you create a flow, that's just like, two married people that have been together for 50 years. Like, it's going to be hard. I'm not saying you can't move on, but it's going to be a challenge because everything you've done, all your thoughts, it's like this person can finish your sentence, right?
Yeah.
I knew that coming in. So not only did I have to learn the parts, I had to kind of get on YouTube and find anything Joey, just to kind of get a gist of his personality. I'd ask questions. Hey, is Joey cool?
Like Joey like salmon?
Yeah. Because for me personally, when you get into this type of genre, this type of flow, it's like, it's not about the typical social politics. I mean, these are guys that are passionate about rock and punk rock and their history. You understand? So the original 4 or 5 guys, they were like almanacs. They could sit up on the tour bus after a show for 7 hours and just talk almanac facts about what artist did this, what song came out.
But like punk rock stuff?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Now here's the thing. It's like, I don't know a lot. I know very little compared to those guys. So it was challenging. It actually, I had to be real with myself. I'm just like, man, don't get insecure. Like just stay cool. And I'm here for a reason. I got hired for a reason. So let me focus on that. Because if I sit up here and try to fit in, then I'm faking it. You know what I'm saying? And that's not me. That's not the type of person I am. So I'm saying that to say it has been a challenge. It has been a challenge because he'll say, no, I want the groove to be kind of like this, and he'll just krautrock and he'll just call out these bands, and I'm like a deer in headlights.
He'll say krautrock to you, and you're like, what?
Yeah. I'm like, whoa, like, okay. He's like, yeah, or he'll say blah blah blah, something else completely different. He's like, Keith Moon, yeah, gotcha, I know him. It's like, bing, it's like I'm shooting ducks, like,
right.
I'll hit one eventually, bro. You just keep shooting them out here.
Oh man.
So it was a challenge, and we've had to learn how to communicate because he's not gonna say, no, switch that kick on the 8th note of 3.
Right.
The end of 3, like, to make it, the E of 3, not the end of 3. He'll just go, he'll send me 5 songs. This is the vibe. I'm like, what part of each song of the 5 would you like on this bridge? So I'm like, oh. At first it was stressful. And I was just like, man. And then I'm going, I could have an attitude and be like, man, fudge this, man. I'm just going to do Chris Coleman, And next thing I know, I have a Greyhound ticket home.
Well, there's my question. So, like, I get the vibe personally. You're just being a pro and trying to, like, silently figure it out and fit in and catch the verbal cues and figure out what they mean. And when I listen to you guys tonight on stage, it's weird. Like with Beck, he knows what he's doing. Mm-hmm. He's like a real craftsman with his music.
Yes, he is.
It sounds deliberately messy. Like he's trying to be, like, stumble all over himself. And I mean that in a very, that sounds negative, and it's not at all.
No.
But like when and so I had that in my mind, knowing his music. And when you told me you were playing with him, immediately I thought of Chris Coleman. Mm-hmm. And I say that with like, what are these called? Quotation marks, thanks. It's late. It's so late.
Oh, this is why I love you, Brewer. What are these called?
What are these things?
Guys, I wish you could have saw that. That was special.
You should have said, those are called velociraptor claws.
Hilarious, bro.
You look like a baby dinosaur right now.
Oh, my God.
That's a T-Rex.
Oh.
So, like, I'm expecting, like, Mr. Clean.
Right.
So that's what I'm wondering. Like, how does Mr. Clean fit in with the supposed messiness?
Okay, like, amongst the camp, you got Jason Faulkner on guitar, Roger Manning on keyboard. These are like two of the original guys that have been with him. And just now, tonight, he'll play like the song My Age from the Descendants, or like Batshit, Red and Orange, John Hammer Group. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out.
Wait a minute.
Lexicon Devil, The Germs.
Now, when you say he'll play it, when will he play it?
Well, just randomly, like on the playlist. Like we're in the dressing room, right?
Oh, gotcha. Because I was going to say, I'm a super Descendants fan, and I didn't hear Maya on stage tonight.
I'm just saying, like, we'll be in the back, right? And just we're chopping it up, and they'll just play these songs, and then they'll just get into there and flow. Oh, yeah, remember this guy with this? Oh, man, in the 70s, blah, 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 blah. And it's just, we're listening to this. I'm listening to this music. And this was the era. This was the time where you just go. You just get up on stage and just fart it out, basically. That's my term to say, just fart it out. Meaning, stop thinking about it. Stop trying to be 2010 and be 1980.
Just get into the spirit.
Just get in the spirit. And if it's supposed to be, you're not perfect. He didn't go to drum school. He probably he'll mess up a paradiddle. Right. His right hand 7 times stronger than his left, and the drums were not tuned by, with the tuner thing.
They hadn't changed their heads in years.
Exactly. Right. That's what they love. So when I'm like listening to this music, I'm going, oh, okay. So here's the dilemma. That's what they love, but he's writing for a new generation. This new record, it took Beck almost 11 years to do this.
Whoa.
It's a pop record. He was frustrated. He did not want to do pop. He wanted to just be Beck and remain. He's just like, he's smart. He's like, either you get in with the times or, He said, but you know what? I'm going to do it my way. So there's still elements of Beck in his new record, even though it's on the pop charts now.
So you got hired to play the new pop stuff?
Yes and no. It was the thing of, for whatever reason, Joey was moving on, and they just needed a new drummer. They auditioned, from what I'm told, I could be wrong, but like 15 drummers. And these were hand-selected by Beck and various other people. Yeah, this dude, we want this dude to not come get the gig, but like audition for it, It was videotaped. It was like full-on production. They had the entire crew there, the whole stage, everything, as if it was almost like you were starting rehearsal today as your audition. That's what it felt like. Because I walked in, I'm like, these video cameras, everybody was set up. I was like, whoa. So I just went down the list, But it's like, dude, my Shazam is full. I mean, these guys will play songs randomly, and I'm like always on Shazam.
Wow.
I said, why? And I'm going back buying these records and listening to them. Just trying to
Dude, that's smart.
Yeah. I'm just like, thank God for Shazam. I'd be screwed.
Yeah, that's smart.
I've probably, messing around with them since May, I've probably bought almost 30 albums.
Dude, that's no different to me. Like, right away, I think of somebody who's a savvy traveler and they go to another country and they pick up on all the words.
Yep.
And they listen hard and they take notes, or they plug into their Google Translator and they keep a running tab and they figure out the common language.
Yep.
That's what you're doing.
That's what I'm doing.
So that you're able to move more freely within the camp eventually.
Exactly. Or when he says something, it's kind of like, I think a couple factors are into play. Beck is aging. There's that factor. The way he communicates is the way he's always communicated. The former drummer had 20 years of understanding him. They've been childhood buddies. You know what I'm saying? So he would know that doesn't mean that. This means this. That type of stuff. I'm coming in green. Wow. I'm coming from a whole nother side of the tracks, too.
Dude, that's a tough situation.
Oh, man. In the beginning, it was hard for me not to be like, is this vindictive?
Right.
Like, are you coming at me? Because I'm like, I know I did exactly what you asked me to do. And you're just going to openly in front of the audience say that's not right? Like, that's what we rehearsed.
That had to be tough for him, too. coming from his childhood buddy that had played drums for him for 20 years to suddenly a new guy. I mean, I don't know. I'm guessing, like, if I were in his shoes, I'd feel a little bit lost.
Exactly. I would too. Yeah. I would too. That's why I've had to actually put myself in his shoes. Like, okay, calm down. Don't go Detroit on him. You know? Yeah. Don't do that. You know? Don't. Because I got stories, bro. Like, I've had to I threatened somebody. They wouldn't pay. I did a tour for a whole month, and I didn't get paid. I was just living off of per diem.
This isn't in the Beck camp?
No, not in the Beck camp.
Right.
And one night we show up, and I took my drums down. We're 30 minutes out of the show. There's no drums. I'm like, either pay me or it's all going in a taxi. Well, I don't care, brother. KFC is right across the street, and I'm hungry. I'll wait right here till that Greyhound bus leaves. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got stories, bro. I got stories. Like, this is a side a lot of people don't know.
Yeah. But
it's like, I'm sitting on these drums going, really? Like, is this, dude, it's 2018. We don't,
Yeah.
I'm just, part of me would say, where you been? Like, the world don't function like that. But, hold up. This is his stage, bro.
Yeah.
Either respect it or get out.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
So, moving on, you've played with some incredible heavyweights. Larry Carlton, Stanley Clarke, Sheila E., Shaka Khan, Prince. How do you say Israel's last name?
Houghton.
Israel Houghton, in the New Breed.
Yes.
And now Beck. So, this is a totally diverse collection of employers. What's the common thread that they all hire you for?
Wow. I would love to get them all in a room and ask them. But that's hard, man, because it's honestly, I'm sitting here, it's hard because I try to focus on so many different things. Mm-hmm. Number one, just I think overall is balance. When someone knows, you know how it goes in the industry. Yeah, you want the hot shot. You want the person that could, bring some kind of flavorful aspect to your stage. That's just, what artist doesn't want that? You know what I'm saying? But am I going to have a headache along with it? What is this person like? Is he agreeable? Is he teachable? Just because I went to school for jazz doesn't mean I understand, Lee Ritenour's jazz. Lee Ritenour's jazz because it's his jazz.
Did you play with Lee Ritenour too?
Yeah.
Dude, that's heavy.
Yeah, it's like Stevie. Stevie's another one. It's just like, just because
Stevie Wonder?
Uh-huh.
Did you play with him?
Yeah. Just because you know the song don't mean you know Stevie.
I think I knew that, but yeah. Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like, all those artists, it's just, you have to become it. What is it? Whatever they need for you to be. Because I've seen it. People come in and they're playing the records. Some artists are like this. They're playing the records. He's like, yeah, I know Stanley's music backwards and forwards. And Stanley's like, man, I'm not there anymore.
Right.
I'm over here. You haven't heard my new stuff.
And that's why what you said about with Beck going to watch live footage with Joey playing on drums, that's super important. I mean, you got to watch the live stuff. You'll figure out where the artist's head is at these days.
Exactly.
How do they interpret that song from 20 years ago now?
Exactly. The biggest change for Beck was the dynamic level. I'm a strong player. That's just where I come from.
I mean, dude, look at those guns.
Well, they need some work. They've been sitting out in the shed for a little while.
I know, man.
But I was told, here's the best way. Paul Hager, the front of house engineer, amazing guy, amazing engineer. He said it best. He said, okay, here's the best way to put it. Joey plays on level 1. You play on level 100. And Beck's just trying to figure out what the heck to do between 1 and 100. He's like, because he's always known one. He's like, Paul said, tap the cymbal for me. He's like, that's too hard compared to the way Joey played. I was like, what? I was like, dude, you guys got such a big sound. He said, bro, I would crank the heck out of Joey. That's just how Joey plays. Not wrong. It's not bad. Obviously, it created a sound, right? So for me, I was like, well, crap, I got to play super quiet. Of course I can. But then that's not why I got hired. I got hired because I brought the energy. Because that's the first thing Becky's like, dude, the energy you were bringing. He was like, that's what I wanted. Becky even asked me to go back and watch my own audition tapes. Because we were in a song once after a couple weeks of him trying to figure out how to, okay, do this, don't do this, do this, and then all of a sudden it's like mush, right? He kind of just scrapped it all and go listen to your audition tape. The way you played it there, that's what I want. I was like, it was freaky, right? Because I'm like, wow, I got to go watch myself.
Yeah.
My own audition tape and play it that way.
Got to learn from yourself. Yeah.
Absolutely hilarious, right?
Wow.
So that was the biggest dynamic. So I'm just like, and everybody kept saying, don't change. We will adjust. So we've, and part of the story with the whole, dynamic level, volume of the cymbals, and we had to swap out almost every line of cymbals Meinl has trying to find the sound,
Yeah, sure.
And I think we finally dialed it in. We figured out some other things. Now the drums are on a 6-foot riser, so the cymbals are shooting over his head. I mean, there's just all kinds of dynamics that have had to adjust, It's kind of like, after a while, I think everybody around Beck was just like, dude, you hired him. Like, this is who he is. So on one hand, you're going to have to get with it or hire somebody else. And then they're telling me on the other hand, dude, don't change, just be you. It is what it is. Either it works out or it doesn't, So there's this new marriage that had to take place. So it's a lot, man.
That's what everybody hires you for, is just you being you.
You just have to... You have to know when to push, when to pull. You just got to know that. And you can't know that if you know everything.
Right. Going back to you being a good listener. Exactly. You listen to what they're playing in the dressing room and getting pumped up to.
Yep.
You then put it on your Shazam and listen and figure it out.
Yep.
What's been one of those defining moments in your career where it may have been the most uncomfortable and seemingly awful thing at that moment in time, but looking back on it, you can see that it was such a moment of personal education that it advanced you further on down your personal journey?
Wow.
What's that moment you even think back now and you're like, man, that really sucked. I'm glad I'm not in that moment in time anymore.
One of the most defining moments for me was probably working with New Kids on the Block. It wasn't them. It was more or less the music director. There were a lot of things I told him up front that I'd never done or experienced. Sitting in my seat, it was painful. But sitting in his seat, I'm actually beyond grateful because he actually gave me a chance. You know what I'm saying? And it was kind of like, yeah, I'm giving you a chance, so I need you to rise fast. I mean, rise fast, like tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like for me, that was a turning point in my own personal life.
Like the whole tour?
How it all went down, everything. Because I actually walked away from it. I was just like, I'm just not the dude. Maybe it's just not happening. You're not happy with this. You're not pleased with this. I'm just not the dude. I'm like, hey, man, I'll gladly, you want to make a phone call, call somebody else. I'll bow, I'm not that type of person. I don't want to cause people, He's like, yeah, but you'll never get it. And I was just like, part of me wanted to say, well, leave me the hell alone and let me get it. But he's like, yeah, but I need it tomorrow. Like, I need it 2 weeks ago, that type of thing. Why? Because we have a major production to do, And we don't have time to audition another drummer. we start touring a week, You got to get this. I'm just like, what the fudge, I had to learn how to program on the fly, and I'd done that stuff on my own time at my own pace. That's nothing compared to being on a $500,000 stage every night. You know what I'm saying? So I'd have to say kudos to that gentleman. If he ever heard it, he'd know who he is.
So looking back on that, it makes you kind of cringe because you're like, oh, I'm so green.
Yeah.
But everyone has to go through that at some point.
You got to. And like I said, that's part of some of those dudes I was talking about, those stories outside of the glory,
Yeah, sure. you've been with the instrument companies that you endorse for a very long time, us included. How do you approach the idea of endorsements?
Wow. Some things you only get one chance in life, And if anything, I'm grateful for this because before when I first started understanding what an endorsement was, I got the heaviest wisdom ever. They were just like, look, play exactly what you like to play. Don't play what people will give you. Don't play what's free. Play exactly what you love to play because in the end, that's going to be the only thing that really keeps you there. Because at the end of the day, it's a business. And I was like, I didn't really understand that. But over time, it started to make sense. I was just like, yeah, well, why would I play this? Although it's good, but that's not what I want to play. And it just became this thing. Like, I like this. This is my sound. This is what I want to play. So I had to wait. I say that because I knew about Meinl. 2006 was when you and I first connected. But I knew about them in 2002. As early as that, I was like hip to Meinl. So it was a thing of I had opportunities with a couple other different companies, They all just didn't come together, Even though in the back of my mind I was like, that's not really what I want, And I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait it out. So my thing is, us as drummers, we are artists. Even though we work for artists, you need to know the difference. But play exactly what you want to play, man. Play what makes you, when you sit down, you're inspired. If you hit a cymbal and the way you hit it, any kind of way, and you're inspired to be a better you, then play that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if the drum sounds a certain way, if you swapped out the heads 10 different times, whatever the one that motivated you to want, you're going to go back to, that's the company you need to stick with.
Play what you love, everything follows.
Play what you love, everything follows. And if it doesn't work out, or I don't have any books, okay. I would, especially today, I'm not going to go here, but I would love to be president. I feel like I do some better job. But anyways, that's a whole nother podcast, right?
Yeah.
But guess what? I'm not. That's not going to happen for me, right? It's not in the cards. Okay, so does that mean I give up? No. I still be me.
Right.
I keep trucking. So.
Yeah, I think maybe the problem is some guys lose sight of the fact that, like you said, it's for their artistry, and they almost think it's a calling card instead. Like an endorsement sort of adds legitimacy to their brand.
Yeah.
And dude, you don't need legitimacy. Legitimacy is you being a badass.
I feel, and this is a word to the younger generation. I'm 38, so if you're 33 and below, this is definitely for you. I came up in an era where drum clinics and endorsements were the cherry on top of the coconut cake. That takes a lot to make a cake, man. It's 3 layers. You gotta whip this up, and people see the cake. Yeah, they'll notice the little red cherry, but that's not the cake. It's just the cherry on top. You understand? And I'm not saying it's wrong. It's not bad. But I come up under my heroes who were like, "Yo, make a career." I'm getting called to do a clinic because someone wants to hear something I played on a record. That's how my name got known. What am I saying to you? I'm be careful. That's what I'm saying. Like, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Right.
And I'm seeing a lot of this. How am I seeing this? These are the guys that are coming through my studio for private lessons. Hey man, I want to learn how to do drum clinics. I got to get these chops together to do this drum clinic. And I'm just like, okay, I can help you, but what after that? Like, what's after the clinics? What you mean? Like, I mean, is that it? Because you can only be the man for so long. So now what?
Dude, and furthermore, if nobody knows you, who's going to come to the clinic?
But see, that's what I'm saying. It's just, it's just it's a very gray subject. It's a very gray time. And what I'm saying is I'm never going to discourage anybody from doing anything because it's a part of my life, my career, and my income. It is, but it's not the main. It's not the main. You know, it is not the meat and potatoes. It is. I feel like it's a blessing, you know, that Meinl would contact me, or Sonar would contact me, or Vic Firth or Evans and say, hey, man, this store wants you to come and do a clinic, you know. I'm just like, dude, that is absolutely amazing. But what if they don't call? What are you going to do for food?
Yeah.
How are you going to pay your bills?
Yeah, sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And as you and I have talked many times, I say this all the time. At the end of the day, this is still a business for endorsements. You're not going to just walk in, as an example, you're not going to just walk in McDonald's and be like, yeah, I'll take a double cheeseburger, hold the onions. You know what I'm saying? I'm a little allergic to them. I like them chicken sandwiches. Give me 2 of those. And I need like a whole bag of fries, right? And, man, y'all still make that high C orange? That's what I want. I don't like this new Fanta stuff, right? And I don't like this baked apple pie. Can you go back, get the old school, give me the fried apple pie, right? And she's like, sure, that'll be $40. And you're like, no. You should just give it to me. There is an aspect. The gigs don't flow like they used to in a Dennis Chambers or a Dave Welker or Vinny's day. Studio sessions don't necessarily happen. You can't make that type of money like they used to. Maybe 1 or 2 guys are making it now, you know, but it's not like that. You know that. The big studios are, you know, becoming obsolete, right? So I will give that. People had to be creative and figure out ways to survive and stay, you know, current in the music industry.
But don't rely on your gear companies for your income.
That's what
They're already providing you with something.
Yes.
They're offsetting your expenses in one way, shape, or form. Even if you're getting what you see as nothing more than a discount, you're still not paying full price.
Exactly.
Some guys might say, well, I can go to Guitar Center and get it for that. No, you can't.
No, you can't.
I mean, maybe another company's giving you a crappy discount deal, but we're not.
Right.
Yeah.
So just be mindful. That's all I'm saying, man. Be creative, do it, but you know, have a plan, bro. Have a out, you know, because that's not it's just not. It's not gonna be, you know, you ain't gonna be 80 years old. Yeah, I'm about to go do this clinic run.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
It's
right.
2018.
At the assisted living center. Yeah.
It's just not gonna happen. So enjoy it. If you're doing them, great. Enjoy it. I still do them, but as you can see from this interview, that is not my main thing. You know what I'm saying? So just be mindful. That's all I'm saying.
But for
be
endorsements,
yes,
play what you love.
Yes, play what you love.
It's pretty well known that you're a great bass player. I've seen you play. You can slap at the bass. So is the bass guitar your secret love? Have you ever been on a gig and wished you weren't the drummer, but that you were actually the bass player on that gig?
Yeah. Couple times.
That's awesome. Like you're literally sitting behind the drums going, man, I wish I was holding that bass right now.
It's like, okay, the drum spot's cool, but that guy, he can, you know, this is a bass player's gig. And I was just like, oh, it has nothing to do with him personally. Sure. He's like probably one of my...
You just are enjoying it and you're like, I'd love to do that.
Yeah, you know, so...
That's funny.
I'm like, it made me go home and practice, pull out the axes.
That's killer.
Kill him, you know, so...
You came up in the church playing drums, right?
Yeah.
I read an interview with you where you said that a lot of guys wanted to get behind the kit at church and play. And so if you were going to stay behind the kit, that you really had to like bring the fire. Yes. Like right away from the downbeat, you better like make it happen. Otherwise, you were quickly going to get taken off the kit
during the song.
Oh, whoa. Okay. And so then someone else is going to take over.
Yep.
So I'm totally curious about this. Do you think that attitude, mentality, you know, like I got to bring it, does that account for why some of the those are quotations, yeah. Why some of the quote gospel shed unquote drummers have never settled down? They never figured out that in the secular world, maybe there's a time to calm down. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yes and no. There is a bit of that. I feel that the younger gospel drummers coming up now, it wasn't like what it was when I was coming up. This generation, I would say there is I hate the word competition, because I don't think it was more or less a competition as much as it was a blessing. You know, iron sharpens iron. That's really where I'm coming from. It was a blessing to have 3 other drummers that were just as dope as you, you know, could play all the chops, but it just made you better. You know what I'm saying? And most of the time, you guys were cool, you know. Rarely would it ever get to a tussle. I want to play, you took my song. There were moments, you know, maybe when you were really little, you're adolescent. We're talking like 10, 11 years old, right? I want to play. It's my turn, you know.
Yeah.
I had that. But now, I think social media has a lot to do with that. I think culture, there's a lot of struggling going on, man, financially, you know, especially in the urban communities, man. Like, it's just trying to get by. So there's this hunger. You know, these cats are showing up on these gigs, man. They're just like, it's almost like a breakdown in translation. You know, you see, you know how it is. Social media, you want everybody to see all your glory. You want everybody to see all your nuggets, you know. And what it does is paint this picture for everybody watching everybody's nuggets. It's like, well, that's it. That's the way you do it. So they on fire feeling like this is the way I got to do it with no balance. Without understanding that
they don't see you just sitting there flipping channels like during quiet time.
Right, during quiet time, or you cooking. You know what I'm saying? It's not always drums. It's not always blaze at, 30-second notes at 100 BPM, you know. It's not always like that, especially on a gig. I can't tell you how many artists that I've worked for, all on that list, have come back to me later, even though I'm not playing for, with them per se, the main guy. They're like, Coleman, I can't find a drummer that can just play pocket. This guy's got all the fire in the world. I just want to groove.
Dude, that makes me think of something that I had read recently, an interview with some insane studio guitar player. He said, you know what? 90% of what I've been hired for is rhythm guitar. He said maybe 10% has been playing lead.
Okay.
And you think about it, everybody's focusing, guitar players are probably focusing on trying to shred.
Yep.
And I got to play this blazing solo. But it's all rhythm.
It's all rhythm.
Just like your pocket.
There's a drum solo in the Beck show at the very end. It's just morphed into something that I've been able to kind of create. But it wouldn't be respected if I didn't do my job. Right. I can tell you that.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
It'd be frowned upon, especially in this genre. It's
right.
just like, okay, a drum solo. It's, oh yeah, that's cool. It's not like right now. It's kind of like a little thing, everybody has a solo. Don't get me wrong. Everybody on stage has a little moment, but it's like it would be completely frowned on and unrespected if I didn't do my job.
Yeah,
it's just as simple as that. Like, as my mom used to say, you can't live off of candy, son. You gonna have to have some meat and potatoes.
All right, so I got one more, because I know you and I are both fried. We got to get some sleep. Right. But I got one more. So what is currently propelling your musicianship forward these days? Like, what do you find yourself kind of stoked by, sort of stoking the Coleman musical fires these days?
Ooh, I'm so anxious to get this record done for so many reasons. It's just like a part of my life that I just feel incomplete until I do this record.
How long have you been working on it?
Off and on now, like 10 years.
Whoa.
It's enough music to be 3 discs, 3 CDs worth.
Anything ever going to see the light of day?
Yeah, I'm going to make it happen. I'm tapping into the rock side of my life that I grew up with. A lot of people don't know that I used to fall asleep to a little radio with an antenna. God, I can remember, let's see, I would say third grade all the way up until maybe 10th. Every night I would fall asleep to the one station I can get on that, the little transistor radio with the flashlight, and it was 102.5 FM, I believe, in my home city, which was the rock station.
In Detroit?
Yeah, Saginaw, Michigan.
Dude, a rock station in Detroit must have been pretty awesome.
Dude, that's all I listened to. And I loved rock music, punk, and all that alternative, all that coming, all that, those morphs and you know, avenues of it. I half the bands I couldn't tell you who was who. I just loved the music. It was something about it. I attached to it just like I did gospel music. Gospel's my roots, but just like I did jazz, you know. But what happened was I was playing gospel, I was listening to rock, I wasn't really playing rock. But then I went to school and I got into jazz. I was playing jazz. So there's this rock aspect to my life that I never really fulfilled. And I feel like through Beck, I'm like tapping into it finally.
That's awesome.
You know, he's allowing, you know, through most of the songs and the history that I'm getting, and, you know, I'm getting a lot, man. And I'm just kind of like, that's who that was.
That's funny. It's like so entirely opposite of what most cats do. Yeah. Most guys are like, yeah, I grew up playing rock and now I'm going to try and play jazz.
I'm going backwards.
Wow,
I'm going the
interesting.
Other way. And it's funny, before the gig, I'm like, man, I'm so grateful. You know, I feel like I've been able to share the stage with a lot of different artists, and I've wanted to play with them, and I'm grateful that they allow me, you know, to play with them. But I haven't really done like a rock guy, you know. I haven't really said like, yo, I'm part of a you know, a thing, you know. And this, the way this came across, I was like, heck yeah. And I'd already had respect for him before I got the audition, you know. I knew of him. I knew what was up. So, yeah, it's been exciting. I'm tapping into something. Like, my sound is changing. My ears are evolving. You know, that type of thing. So,
that's killer.
Yeah, that's what's going on.
Well, I look forward to the next time I can see you live.
Yeah,
man. Chris, thank you so much for being here, man.
Thanks
for the interview. Thanks for the podcast.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Yeah. Let's go get some sleep.
Yeah, we tired as heck, man. I'm out of it.
Thanks for listening to Meinl Radio. If you liked this episode, please head over to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. We would appreciate it very much. Thanks, and we'll see you soon.